Hey there, my name is Graham. In this video, I'm going to show you how to streamline your new client onboarding process in Airtable, generating new tasks the moment that a new client is brought into your system. We've helped dozens of clients fix inconsistent, disorganized, and manual onboarding systems, not by working harder, but by working smarter, by building a system around their unique operations. By the end of this video, you'll have something that you can implement today. And on top of that, you'll have a launch pad to improve your process, like assigning ownership to the right person, notifying them when the time is right, and surfacing the right context for each unique task. So at the very least, you'll start to build a system that can support your unique business operations. Let's get into it. Odds are you have a new client checklist somewhere. Maybe it's in Notion, maybe it's in Google Docs, maybe it's in an email thread that gets copied and pasted, or maybe it's in your head. No matter how shareable or collaborative a checklist like this might be, a checklist is not a playbook. In this case, Everly Content Production, a content agency, uses Airtable for their deal flow and their client management. Whenever a new client signs an agreement at Everly, we fill out the following form. And instead of a static checklist, I have a unique checklist per client that has things that have already been done and things that are yet to be done. All that I had to do is bring the new client into our database, which for Everly is something that they would be doing anyway. Instead of tasks being scattered through different documents, I can go to one place and see all of the clients that are onboarding and the status of each one. This workflow uses something called template tasks. And in just a second, I'll go through the three parts that make up this whole workflow. First is the template task table, then a task table for all tasks, then the automation that duplicates template tasks to the tasks table. Here we are in the back end of Everly's database. They use their database for content production, they use it for project management, but in our case, they use it for new client onboarding as well. We landed in the agreements page, and as you can see, the new agreement here at the bottom, which is the one that we created through that form. What I'm particularly interested in is the template tasks and the tasks table. Template tasks stay the same. Each one applies to the onboarding phase and will repeat for every new onboarding phase that gets brought into the system through the agreement. There's an automation that looks for all of these tasks that have the onboarding stage and then duplicates them and assigns them to the new agreement, the new client that just got brought into the system. The reason I say new agreement over new client is because a client might have multiple agreements, but in Everly's case, every time a new agreement is brought into the system, the same onboarding tasks repeat. This is an important system architecture question for your business. We've seen it many ways, and there are many workarounds to generate the right tasks at the right time. But again, in this case, we'll keep it simple for the sake of illustration. The bridge that connects the template tasks to the unique tasks assigned to the agreement is an automation. The automation looks like this. Whenever a record matches conditions, not just any record, but an agreement record matches the onboarding phase, we go find those template tasks. The template tasks are identified by their onboarding status phase because who knows, maybe we want to add template tasks for some other phase that's not onboarding. Once we search and find those 9 tasks, then we create a repeating group. We repeat through each record found, again, 9 template tasks, and recreate those tasks in the tasks table. We populate the fields with the right data, and most importantly, assign the linked field here, linking to the agreement, to the original Airtable record ID that matches the new agreement. So the new tasks aren't just floating in space, they have an owner. And in this case, again, it's the agreement. I'll go ahead and illustrate this. I'm going to map a dynamic field, and I'm not going to look at the current item of found records. I'm going to go to the original trigger record, which is again the agreement, and select its Airtable record ID. And what that results in is new tasks that are assigned to a new agreement. And that's the foundation of template tasks. You have your template task table, you have the tasks table, and the bridge that connects the two is the duplication automation. Upon this foundation, there are opportunities for improvement. The interface that we just saw looked a little bit bare, so maybe there's an opportunity to assign ownership to the right team member, opportunities to remind them or notify them them at the right time. Let's start with ownership. Looking at our task list, we would be wise to assign an assignee field. We do that by editing the page, selecting the table, and going to the fields that are visible. My field is called team member, and I will select to show it, clear the search field, and then bring team member up in the list so that it's more left aligned. Okay, that looks good. So if we put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who works at Everly Content Production, we just brought a new agreement into the system and see these new onboarding tasks that are populated. Some of them are already complete even, but assigning a team member is not a task here. I think it would be good to create a new task to assign the team member or assign ownership to the right tasks, but bake it into the SOP. So let's go back to the database. Instead of just assigning a new one-off task for that one agreement, it would be wise to do this for every new agreement that is created. And we do that through the template task table. So these two are already done. And the first thing that needs to be done after this is to assign team members. All right, new task is added to the template task list. It is just called assign tasks to team. So here we have tasks that are generated for this new agreement, and correctly, we have a new task pulled from our template that is assigned to this new agreement. For Everly, it is a different team member that will be collecting assets, maybe a marketing manager, than the one that is interfacing with a client, maybe an account manager. And that covers ownership. We showed the assignee field and we added the assigned team members to the SOP. But what happens if we want to notify those team members that they've been assigned a new task? We are going to do so through automation. Let's review this automation that notifies the team member of a new task. When a record, specifically a record in the tasks table, matches certain conditions, specifically when a team member assignee field is not empty, then it triggers a new message. I've already connected my Slack account and I've chosen a channel for this to land in. I've mapped the right fields, which would be the team member name and the notification of the new task assignment. Let's run that task as configured and we have preview there. And jumping over to Slack, we see that that new message looks like that. So we added a new notification automation, we integrated Slack, and we triggered upon the task assignment field. One thing I like to do for tasks like this that trigger automations is add an emoji. In order for that emoji to show up across all new tasks, we need to add it to the template task, which notifies the user that what they are about to take action on has some sort of automation attached to it. Now, again, let's put ourselves in the shoes of somebody that works at Everly Content Production and imagine coming into this task and being told to send a new welcome email. Right now, the task itself looks a little bit sparse. The instructions are to include login instructions and support contact, but there's an opportunity to include a template here, not just any template that you would copy and paste, but a pre-populated template through AI. And that brings us to our third and final opportunity, context. So again, we will head back to automations and walk through this automation. First, we are looking at a status condition, not in any table, but in the tasks table where the status is in progress and the task is send welcome email. Remember, that is the title of the welcome email task, and we are looking for some sort of trigger to move it from not started to in progress. So if we open this up, the trigger would be going from here to here. And what happens next is silent but important, because we have to find the record, find the task that was originally created, because this is looking at all tasks and looking at all statuses. But what we need is the specific task that triggered this automation. And in our case, it's this record right here that is uniquely assigned to this agreement. So we find that unique record. Then we move on to the fun part, AI. I have a prompt here that you can copy and paste that maps the client name, company, and the unique account manager into the email below. The reason that I chose to make it an AI field was to illustrate the opportunity available within the context of an Airtable automation and a single source of truth. If Everly Content Production had their transcriptions from meetings in their single source of truth, i.e. Airtable, they could map that information into a step like this and personalize the email to be unique to that client conversation. We'll keep it simple for now and proceed as configured. I select my model and the randomness. Randomness can also be called the creativity, how much we want it to deviate from the exact interpretation of what we asked for. Finally, we will update the record. Which record? The Airtable ID from the original trigger, and we will map into the instructions field the output from the AI step. Let's see it in action. And there we have a personalized email ready to copy and paste to the client, not something that I have to fish around for. So to bring the right context into each unique task, we are going to configure the task detail page, or what you see whenever you click into a unique task. Then we will add an automation, maybe with AI, maybe with mapped fields, to surface the right context per task. And in our case, we chose to incorporate AI so that we could illustrate how dynamic and robust that step can be, especially if we want to summarize a lot of data or extract data for a unique use case. In this video, we covered the foundation, template tasks, and the duplication automation that connects the two, so that you can start saving time and energy today. On top of that, we walked through ways that you can improve your system through ownership, notification, and context. If you're interested in taking this one automation and turning it into a system, check out our video on how to build a custom app. It walks you through things that you need to know before you start building anything custom. A decision-making framework to take your business from digitally immature to digitally mature. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, please let us know. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.